Welcome to Study Loop.
Let's evaluate the definite integral from 2 to 3. So we see that the denominator is already factored for us, and the partial fraction decomposition should look something like a over 3x minus 1, because this by itself is just a non-repeated linear factor, so that's case 1. And then for x minus 1 squared, this is a repeated linear factor, so we have a constant over x plus 1, and then another constant over x minus 1 squared. Let's go ahead and multiply both sides of this equation here by this denominator in the bottom left. So the left-hand side, we're just left over with x, 3 minus 5x. But on the right, a, x minus 1 squared, b, x minus 1, 3x minus 1, and then c, 3x minus 1. Let's go ahead and simplify both sides here. On the left, negative 5x squared plus 3x. On the right, let's go ahead and multiply everything out. And then for b, we'll have 3x squared minus 4x plus 1. And then for c, there's nothing to do there. So on the right-hand side, let's go out and factor out x squared. When we do that, we have a plus 3b. Then let's pull out an x. We have negative 2a minus 4b, but then plus 3c. And finally, for the constant term, we'll have a plus b minus c. And this is where we'll obtain our 3 by 3 system. On the left-hand side, in front of the x squared, we see a minus 5. On the right-hand side, the corresponding term is a plus 3b, so those are equal. And on the left-hand side, in front of the x, we see a 3. On the right-hand side, minus 2a minus 4b plus 3c, so those are equal. And finally, the constant term on the left is 0. On the right-hand side, it's a plus b minus c, so those also have to be equal. So this will give us a 3 by 3 system. Let's write this on the next page and then go ahead and solve it. We have a plus 3b equals minus 5, minus 2a minus 4b plus 3c equals 3, and then a plus b minus c equals 0. So many ways to go ahead and solve the system. One way is to just take this equation over here, circled, and multiply both sides by 3. So we have 3a plus 3b minus 3c equals 0. And then we could just go ahead and cancel the c's by adding these two equations. So when we do so, we're left over with a minus b, the c's cancel, and then 3 plus 0 is just 0. Excuse me, it's 3. And then now we have a 2 by 2 system in a and b. So bring this equation back down here. A plus 3b equals minus 5. So let's go ahead and subtract these equations. So now the a's cancel. We get minus 4b, and then we'll have a 3, and then those double negatives, so that becomes a plus 5, and that's 8. That gives us b. Divide both sides by minus 4. And then we could go ahead and solve for a. A was 3 plus B, coming from this equation here. So then we have 3 plus minus 2, that's just equal to 1. And then to solve for C, we can rely on this equation up here, top right. So plugging in A, we have 1 plus B, which is minus 2, and then minus C equals 0. So then we have negative 1 equals C. So we have all three values for A, B, and C. Now let's plug these into the partial fraction decomposition that we had on page 1. So let me go on to the next page to do just that. And our integral now becomes integral 2 to 3. We have our partial fraction decomposition. Now we plug in our values for A, B, and C. So plugging in A, that becomes a 1 over 3x minus 1. Now B was negative 2, so we have a negative 2. Let's just pull out the minus sign. And then x minus 1. And then we have minus 1 over x minus 1 squared. So that was because our value for C was minus 1. Now we're ready to integrate. For the first term, might help you here to do a u sub. U equals 3x minus 1. Here you can do u equals x minus 1. And here you could also do x minus 1. So you may not need to u sub here, but after integrating, we should have 1 over 3 natural log absolute value of 3x minus 1 minus 2 natural log absolute value x minus 1, and then plus 1 over x minus 1. That's a power rule, and our endpoints are still 2 to 3. The last thing to do is just plug in these endpoints. So let's start with 3 first. So natural log of 8 minus 2 natural log of 2, and then plus 1 over 3 minus 1, so that's 1/2. That's for plugging in 3. Now we plug in 2. We have natural log 5 minus 2 natural log of 1 plus 1 over 2 minus 1, which is just 1. Now we simplify and combine as much as we can. We know natural log of 1 is 0, so let's ignore that term. We have a positive 1/2 minus 1, so we can take out a negative 1/2. We have 1/3 natural log of 8. We can write this as natural log of 8 to the 1/3 if we'd like. And then we have minus 2 natural log 2. And then we could go ahead and write this as natural log of 5 to the 1/3 power. 8 to the 1/3 is just 2. So we have natural log of 2 minus 2 times natural log of 2. So that gives us a negative 1/2. So this right here is just ln 2, and then combine these two terms. That's a minus ln 2. And I still have a minus ln of 5 to the 1/3. So let me just pull out the minus. Now we can use our log properties. This is minus 1/2 minus natural log 2 times 5 to the 1/3. And that's our final answer.